In this video, we are going to talk about how All-Stars was never meant to be played as RuPaul's Drag Race, but instead always meant to be played like Survivor or Big Brother. For the longest time, winning RuPaul's Drag Race was based off of 4 principles: charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Queens simply relied on their own power and their own skill in order to get far in the competition. They trusted Ru and the judges to make the best decision of who would go home. Then we are introduced to the All-Stars edition. All-Stars flipped the game on its head. It essentially brought a brand new competition to the series. Instead of trusting the 4 principles, trusting the process, and trusting yourself, you now had to trust the other competitors in the game. You now had to rely on the very people you were trying to beat in order to win the crown. From the very beginning of All-Stars, RuPaul says that with great power comes great responsibility. The power is now in the hands of the queens, to make eliminations, to make alliances, to move further in the game and protect each other. The queens have a say and must choose carefully who they're going to go up against in the end. All-Stars 1 kicks us off with this idea. Instead of individuals, the queens competed as teams. If your partner did poorly, you did too. If they failed in the lip sync, you both went home.
On your own, none of you were able to reach the top. So this time around, you'll need to add an S to your charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. And the S stands for synergy. That's right. Starting today, you'll be competing as teams of 2.
OMG.
What? You'll be judged together, from challenge to lip sync. And if one of you fails, you both go home.
Oh, God.
From the beginning, they chose each other off of emotional ties, people they knew they liked or considered to be friends. Only a couple of queens actually considered who'd they work well with. Chad and Chanel were a pair that worked together for over 10 years. They immediately paired up and were the ones to watch all season. In this time, they used real-world experience of working together and professionalism to get it together in the competition and banged out the most challenge wins of any team. Fast forward a few years later, All-Stars 2 created a new structure that we saw go through until season 4. Each queen competed individually, but with a twist. All-Stars 2 was the first season where the queens had the power to send other queens home. Ru was not going to be making the decision. The judges would still offer critique, but they would not decide the fate of the queens. That was for their competitors. In season 2 through 4 of All-Stars, Ru would decide on who the top 2 All-Stars of the week were, and then both would compete in a lip-sync battle. One person would be crowned the winner of the week, and they alone had the power to eliminate one of the bottom queens. The top 2 queens would each choose the name of who they'd like voted off before going into lip sync.
Sachet away. Roxy Andrews. Tatiana. You are the top 2 All-Stars of the week.
I am in the top 2! I cannot believe it! I'm ready to lip sync, child. What's my song?
I am so happy.
I've made some decisions. Katya. Alaska. You are the top 2 All-Stars of the week. Congratulations. Welcome back, ladies. 2 top All-Stars stand before me. Ladies, this is your chance to impress me, win $10,000, and earn the power to give one of the bottom queens the job.
Everyone joked when they first heard this. What show did I sign up for? Welcome to RuPaul's Drag Race Survivor. Everyone joked, but then promptly ignored the strategic premise of shows like Survivor and Big Brother. Instead, they were talking about fairness. What's fair? What's a fair way to eliminate the competition? For All Stars 2, Queens decided on a groupthink mentality. Who got the harshest critiques, they would be the ones to go home. The problem with that was that this did not allow for individual decisions and what was best for each person's own game. Instead, the cast tried to force the structure of All Stars to match RuPaul's Drag Race, rather than leaning into a more strategic mind for this new type of competition. This idea of fairness is a topic that comes up in all future seasons of All Stars. What's fair, what is actually fair, and why is it up to the queens that season to decide as a group? Ru never says this is how you all should be voting or this is how to eliminate queens. Instead, they are simply told, with great power comes great responsibility. The responsibility of what you do with the power is up to you. How you should be using that power is to further your own game and cut out competition who you would lose against in other challenges, and make sure you are set up for the best position in order to win the crown. Similar to All Stars 2, All Stars 3 had the same format, with 2 top All Stars being announced that ended in a lip sync battle. That battle would result in the winner choosing who goes home. The idea of fairness continues into All Stars 3. Very little change from the previous All Star season. There was still a matter of voting from the heart and not thinking with a strategic mind. The twist of Season 3, however, resulted in a jury phase, similar to Survivor. All queens who had been eliminated up until that point voted on the top 2 All-Stars to compete in the finale. The final 4 now had to face their previous actions and the past queens of the season who they were responsible for kicking off. There was a controversy in Shangela and BB being voted out and Kennedy and Trixie being the 2 queens to vie for the crown. Despite Shangela winning 3 challenges in all of her lip sync that season, she was cut right before the finale. Being responsible for most people going home and not having skills in jury management caught up with her. The jury worked with an emotional mindset and thought of their revenge instead of looking at the whole season critically and who would be representing their season as the winner. All Stars 4 continued in the fairness conversation. Possibly the most controversial vote-off of all time was Manila. If you are in the top, you usually have to stay safe or in the top to avoid being targeted. For most of All Stars history, eliminations were judged on critiques from that specific week or based on personal ties. All Stars 4 flipped the game and was when we saw more strategic gameplay. When pleading for her to stay in the game, Manila reminded the top 2 All-Stars that she was a strong competitor, doing so well, slaying the competition, and that this was her first time in the bottom. As a plea, this was a wild decision because it reminded them that she was the one to beat, and she was a threat to their chances of winning. This resulted in Manila, the clear frontrunner for the crown, being eliminated the very first time she was in the bottom.
Naomi Smalls. With great power comes great responsibility. Which queen have you chosen to get the chop?
The queen I've chosen to get the chop tonight in this competition, you taught me to believe in myself when I didn't even actually believe in myself. And I really, really greatly appreciate you for that. And I'm so sorry that I have to send home Manila.
Both queens who lip-synced, Naomi and Monet Exchange, chose to kick Manila off. It was more of a strategic move because it recognized that Manila was fierce competition and most of them would lose if they were in the end against her. Trinity and the world had a reaction to this. Trinity thought all eliminations before that were based on fairness. Again, this idea of fairness keeps coming up. Why does it have to be based on fairness, and what is the criteria for fairness? In a competition to win $100,000 and be placed in the Hall of Fame, it was not fair for any of the groups to dictate to the rest how the elimination should go or what the criteria should be. It should have always been left up to the individual contestants to decide for themselves what they were going to do and what was best for their game. In these beginning phases of All-Stars, the ones who were more strategic or went against the groupthink were targeted, and they were usually the ones to be eliminated next. All-Stars 1 through 4, similar to the beginning phases of Survivor, focus more on the idea of fairness and who deserved to be in the end, rather than people focusing on winning for themselves.
I'm nervous. Manila went home because she was competition. And at this point, I am tied with Monet for the most wins in the competition. So girl, I might be next on the chopping block.
It was only a little bit later that people started going in with a strategy and ready to do whatever it takes to win the crown. All-Stars 5 is one of the first times we see talk of alliances in the world of RuPaul's Drag Race. For the first time, we are shown conversations about queens having other queens' backs in order to protect each other for future weeks. This was even furthered by a new style of All-Stars format. Rather than what existed before, All-Stars had a new structure. Instead of 2 top All-Stars competing in a lip sync, Ru would decide on one All-Star who would perform against a secret lip sync assassin. If the All-Star won, they decided who went home. If the lip sync assassin won, the group would decide. Before each lip sync, the individual All-Star would pick a name and the group would vote for who they thought should go. The queen with the most votes from the group would be the name that the lip sync assassin would carry into battle. Now a new layer had been added. Instead of only 2 people having the power, the whole cast did. Now queens on the bottom had to beg to be saved to the whole group. This added a dynamic that made alliances almost necessary for queens to set themselves up for the best possible chance of winning. Fast forward to this current season. We're now seeing in All-Stars 8 that people are waking up and having more of a strategic mind in terms of the competition. Alliances are forming from the very beginning, and people try to have private conversations out of earshot from everyone else. This is the smartest thing to do in terms of All-Stars by having a plan of knowing who you want to work with to further your own game. This new tone of a strategic shift in All-Stars is here to stay. With great power comes great responsibility. People are finally recognizing that the power can be used in different ways and can play the game in a way that's almost as ruthless as the game of Survivor. We're looking forward to seeing how All-Stars plays out this season, but what do you all think? Should All-Stars be played as a more strategic game like Survivor or Big Brother, or do you think it needs to stick to original form of RuPaul Drag Race? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.